guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching today, and I appreciate all the support. If you haven't yet, make sure to like and subscribe. That really helps me out. So today what we're going to be doing is 2 freezer deep cleans. So technically I have 3 freezers, but I consider the 2 freezers in the garage one, since one is a big deep freezer and the other is just like a French door freezer, and we really don't store anything in there. Except for like ice cubes. So I don't really need to clean that one out. But I really need to clean out my drawer freezer inside the house, and then I really need to clean out and inventory the deep freezer in the garage, because I have no idea what I've got, and I am going to be attempting a pantry shopping challenge for February and March. So I need to place an Azure standard order, and I just need to know what I have. And because I've been so sick the last 3 months, I have not kept up on my freezer or pantry inventory whatsoever. So I don't even know what I have. And you know how it goes. Like, stuff gets shoved to the back of the fridge or the back of the freezer or the back of the pantry, and you just not paying attention. And so you end up buying more than you even need and whatever. All that to say that I am... this was like a super long video, so I went ahead and double timed it, like double sped it up. And I'm just unloading our kitchen freezer. So what ends up happening usually is that everything from the fridge that's about to go bad just gets dumped in this freezer until I have time to deal with it properly. So there'll be all kinds of like fruit scraps hanging out in the bin, or coffee grounds from it getting spilled or whatever. And so I'm just gonna pull everything out, and then I'm going to use the shop vac and give it a good vacuuming before I pull out the drawer to wash, which is such a handy feature of this freezer. And then I'm just going to use the shop vac to pick up all the big scraps that got dropped there, fruit scraps and whatnot. My son is obsessed with frozen fruit. I don't know why, so he actually prefers his blueberries to be frozen. Guess he likes fruit ice cubes. I'm not really sure. But anytime I buy fruit, he will always take one of the packages and stick it in the freezer. And then I'll open the freezer up later and be like, why are there blueberries in the freezer? I didn't put those there. So I'm just going to come in here with some non-toxic cleaner that I make and scrub this thing out. And then, I don't know if you saw earlier, but I also use the vacuum to vacuum behind the drawer where the condenser is at, because cat hair and dust and stuff gets stuck up in there. This particular fridge vents through the bottom of the fridge, which is wild to me, because I'm used to like fridges, cheap fridges that vent through the back. So I get back there with a vacuum, and we pull the fridge out once or twice a year and vacuum underneath it real well and get all the dust out and everything. But it was nice to be able to do this time. So just something that had been on my list for a while, and I knew I was going to tackle it in January, so I was kind of ignoring it until now. So, and I don't know why I was dressed so nice in this video. We must have just gotten home. I think we just came home from like some sort of event or something. So I like have a face on and I'm all dressed up for some reason. I know this was later at night. So we must have been out doing something. And if you can't tell, I am still super phlegmy. I'm probably going to clear my throat or cough a couple times. I apologize. I'm not editing it out. I haven't gotten that advanced with my editing yet. So that just is what that is. But I wanted to just go ahead and get this video done, because I said I was going to get it done in January. So here I am attempting to be consistent. Yay me! I hope that whatever you said you were going to get done in January, you are also attempting to be consistent at. So, yay you if you are. So we have all these, like, I don't know, every time we go to the chiropractor, we get an ice pack. And so I have like 100 chiropractor ice packs. I threw a bunch out. You didn't even see, I cut out that, but like I probably took, I don't know, 20 ice packs out of the fridge. Or out of the freezer. I threw like more than half away. We don't need that many ice packs. So I kept a couple of the really nice ones and the ones that fit nicely in lunch boxes. Other than that, we just don't need that many. So I'm just going to put everything kind of back, but organized, so that way I can actually see what I have. And I did change up like the organization structure of how I had everything in the freezer too. So when everybody opened the freezer for the first time, they were like, wow, it looks different in here. And I was like, yeah, that's because I actually like, I say this, I've said this in prior organizational videos. When you first use a space, don't worry about organizing it. Like, it can be a disaster. It can be a mess. It doesn't need to be pretty. Wait until you know how you're going to use the space before you spend a whole lot of time or money organizing it, because it will change. As you use it, you will naturally develop a habit about how you're using a space. And so you want to spend your time and money wisely. So wait until you know how you're going to use the space before you develop a whole routine or dump a bunch of money or anything into it. So same thing here. I'm just going to give this a good scrub out. It it was pretty dirty and there was like spills in it and stuff. So I'm just going to scrub this all out, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it back in there. But I did not realize like how gross a freezer drawer could get. So disclosure, this was the first time I had deep cleaned this particular freezer. I mean, I've wiped spills out of it and stuff before, but not to this level where I went and I cleaned all the little crevices and all the little areas that collect all the dirt and dust and whatnot. And so it has been, we've had this fridge for 2 years. So it has been 2 years since this has been deep cleaned. And it was gross, just really gross. And I was like, I probably need to put this on my cleaning schedule more than once every other year. So I added it to my to-do list once a year. And I've talked about this before, but I use an app called Tody, Tody. It's free. You can add your own tasks in there in each room in your house, and then you can set the time frame that you want to accomplish them. So I went ahead and added deep cleaning the freezer for a year as a yearly task, so that it will get done next year. In January, I'll get an alert that it needs to be done, that I have a task upcoming, and it will get done. So that will be very nice. So anyways, this, I'm just using a rag. I have like kitchen rags. These are not like washcloths, I don't think. Yeah, these are just my kitchen rags. They're grody looking, and I don't care. They're gray and grungy looking, and I don't use bleach because we have a septic system. So I use like OxyClean or whatever safe for the septic. And my rags get grungy. They get dingy looking. And I do strip them like you would with cloth diapers about once or twice a year. And it does like brighten them up or whatever, but they're rags. So I don't really care. I'm using them to clean up dust and to clean up spills and things like that. I don't really care how they look. And the same thing with my like kitchen hand towels, because I use flour sack towels. They're just super economical and they're super useful. But you know what? They end up getting like kind of gray and grungy looking as you just continue to use them. And because I don't use bleach. Not that I can't use bleach, because I have used bleach in the past. I just choose not to with the septic. We have a very expensive septic system. It's essentially a wastewater treatment plant on our property. And any amount of like bio whatever disruptor like bleach poured down the drain could disrupt our whatever you want to call it, the bioflora in it. So I'm just not going to do that. So here I'm just showing you the finished product of how clean and tidy it is, and how I finally have some sort of organization in here. And then I'm going to move on to the garage freezers. So we have a big deep freezer and a side-by-side fridge that came from our rental house that we use kind of as like a garage beverage fridge, I guess. And then sometimes we'll put like ice cubes or ice bags or whatever, especially if we're going to get a hurricane, then we'll stock that freezer with water bottles and things like that, so that we can keep the other freezers cold if the power should go out. So far we haven't really needed that. We do have plans to install a whole home generator, like the house is plumbed for that. We did have the foresight to do that while we were building, but we haven't gotten the generator yet. If you don't know, a whole home generator is super expensive. So we do have some generators, but they're small and they can only power a few appliances. So what I do here is I keep a running inventory in dry erase on my standing freezer. But the freezer is slightly textured on the exterior, so getting dry erase off is usually not just as simple as like wiping it. So I have to wipe it and let the water sit on it for a minute, and then I got to go in there and scrub it. But it comes off and it's fine, and then I can just start over and rewrite on it. So I do that. I'll just keep a running list on the exterior of the freezer. So when I'm going to plan for the pantry and freezer challenge for next month, I don't have to open the freezer to look to see what I have. And so then I keep a dry erase marker right next to the freezer there. My husband uses the garage kind of as a woodworking shop too. So all of his projects end up in there. So there's all kinds of dust and stuff. And I just don't want to have to open the freezer just to get a glimpse at what I've got. I want to know what I have on hand basically all the time. So I break it down into categories and I write like chicken, beef, fish, pork, bread, vegetables, miscellaneous, and probably a couple other things on there. And I'm just going to empty the freezer categorically, like each different category I'm going to take out. I'm going to see what I have, what the dates on them are. So we bought a whole cow probably about this time last year, maybe a little earlier. So it's maybe been like a year and a couple months. And it took us about that long to go through the whole cow. So now I know that if we get a whole cow once a year, that's enough for the family for beef for the year. And I really didn't have to supplement all that much, except for I did end up having to buy a good bit of extra ground beef from like the grocery store. So one thing that we did, and I'll actually have a video of this later, is we took all the roasts from the cow that we got, and for whatever reason, those roasts were super tough. And I guess this was our first time getting a grass-fed, grass-finished cow. And we just didn't like the roast or the steaks. They were really, really tough. But all the ground meat and the cube steak and some of like the I don't know. Some of the other cuts were just fine. There was no problems with them. They were very tasty. There was nothing wrong. But the roasts just were super, super tough. And I don't know if that was because we got an older cow or because it was grass-fed and grass-finished and we just weren't used to that. I have been slowly over the years attempting to shift us to a local diet, grass-fed, grass-finished, like more natural sort of ancestral eating. And it's just been this really slow process because I'm not going to go gung-ho and throw everything away. It's just a waste. So we're using up stuff, and as we do, we try to replace it with something local if possible. If not local, at least pasture-raised, organic, grass-fed, that kind of thing. So it's been like this process, and then also we have to find sources for the meat and sources for the veggies and things like that. And thankfully, where we're at in Central Florida, there's a lot of options. I'm super, super grateful that we have those options. But again, it's just a process. If I see that we're running low on pork that we got from I did a huge pork stock at the grocery store, but now I want to switch from grocery store pork to local pastured pork. So I did some research online. There's a couple websites that I recommend. Local Harvest is one. Farm Match is one. There might be a couple others out there that are good, but I just Googled like pastured pork near me and I got a list of farms in my local area. And so I just started looking at their websites and trying to see if there were some farms that were doing regenerative farming, which there happens to be one just south of me that's a regenerative pork farm. So that's super cool. And it was it was such a God thing, of course, because right when I was looking, there it is. So anyhow, I reached out to them and I got a box of pastured pork. It was like 25 pounds of pastured pork for $200, which worked out to, I don't know the math on that. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but it worked out to less than grocery store pork. And I got local, not organic, because, organic it's a fake label. It doesn't really mean anything necessarily. But local pastured raised pork done regeneratively. And I know the people who run the farm, which is super cool. So I'm becoming more and more convicted to shop local if possible. Of course, I still use the grocery store and Amazon because not everything is possible to source locally. And then some things aren't worth the price versus convenience right now. as we're switching over. Of course, some of the stuff is a little more expensive, but it is also more nutritionally dense. So we end up eating less and feeling fuller, which is kind of mind blowing to me. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've lost like 10 pounds in the past 2 months. And I think part of that was me being super sick and just really not eating most of December. But then here in January, I have still been slowly losing weight, even though we've been eating. Even though I've been eating again because I've been feeling better, more like eating. But we've just been slowly switching over, and I'm noticing that I feel better. I'm sleeping better, and I am way less inflamed. So, like, I'm noticing a difference. I know it's going to be a haul, and I have to add in more exercise. But I'm getting there, and I'm just eating less because I feel fuller because we're switching to a more nutritionally dense way of life. So that's just a little, I don't know, tidbit for you. I don't know what to tell you about that. So anyhow, I'm just, like I said, taking out each category of food, and then I'm going to wipe the shelf off and then restock after I write on the freezer door what I have in there and how much of it I have. If you don't, I just like the dry erase marker, but maybe you don't have a standalone freezer yet, or maybe you don't have the space for it. That's fine. You can do this just on a sheet of paper and stick it to the side of your fridge so that you know what you have on hand. And so, like, I keep a pantry inventory just taped to the inside of my pantry door. Now, I haven't been real great about updating it in the past couple of months because, like I said, I've been sick. But I do need to get better about it, especially because I have a huge Azure Standard haul coming, and I need to know what I actually already have on hand, so that I can see, okay, this amount of food will last us, I'm hoping, for 3 to 5 months. I'm hoping that I can get away without grocery shopping for 3 months. Well, without grocery shopping, at least for the staples, and that I've ordered enough. And I'm just kind of winged it and guessed what I would need to order, and we'll see how it goes, because I really, like I said, I want to get really good at making single sourced ingredient dishes or recipes. So like if the recipe is, we'll say, I don't know, cherry pie. Well, I made the pie crust. I made the lard. I made the cherry filling. Like, I'm in control of each of the ingredients, or as much of the ingredients as I possibly can. And that's kind of what I want my focus to be this year. I want my focus not necessarily to be on clean eating, but nutritionally dense eating, and also like I'm in control most of the time of what I can be in control of with our food. So, like, you know, if I'm making chicken nuggets, they're not coming out of a bag. It's me who's having to make the thing. And I think this will accomplish 3 things. I'm hoping that it accomplishes 3 things. First and foremost, I'm hoping that it actually is like better as a lifestyle. If I want something conveniency like chicken nuggets, well, it's not really convenient to have to make them from scratch, right? So it no longer becomes a convenience food if you can't just pop open a bag and pour processed nuggies onto a sheet and stick them in the oven for 20 minutes or whatever, right? So if I have to go through the whole process of making chicken nuggets, I'm probably not going to. I'll probably just throw chicken onto a sheet pan and do it that way. And I'll skip the breading, which is better for you. And I will also skip the processed garbage, which is great for our wallet and my waist, and for the family health overall. But also, like, I'll have to pick what is convenient enough that I'm willing to sacrifice, like, either money and buy the organic version of the convenience item, or time, because I'm going to have to make the convenience item that won't actually be convenient. And I think, like, that's kind of a mindset change that I really want to challenge myself to this year, is that convenience stuff isn't actually convenient, because we've just shifted the convenience of opening a bag up of something, and I don't care if you eat chicken nuggets. I'm not trying to convict you. That's not what's going on here. I'm trying to convict myself. That's what's going on here. So like the convenience of convenience food is only convenient because you're sacrificing quality. So I want to challenge myself that if I'm going to sacrifice quality in terms of like me making it from scratch and being in control of the ingredients, well, then it needs to be organic. And if I can't stand the $16 price tag for organic chicken nuggets, if I can't make it fit in the budget and I can't swing it or whatever, then I'm going to have to make them from scratch. And if I can't stomach the idea of it taking 2 hours to make chicken nuggets from scratch, then we're just not going to eat them. Or maybe I'll have to figure out if I can make them in bulk and make it worth my time to make them, right? So sorry for the rambling, but I'm just trying to like explain my thought process behind how I kind of want our food, or the food that we're eating at home at least going forward, to look. And I know part of this is because I need to control what I'm eating, not in terms of like I have to be in control of it, but I need to know what my calories actually are. I need to know what I'm actually consuming, because I am bent on, like I lean towards overeating. And I lean towards overeating because I eat garbage food. And since I eat garbage food, it doesn't make me full. I want more of it. It's hyper palatable and it's not providing the nutrients that my body actually needs. And because of that, I overeat and I eat more calories than I need to. And because of that, I am overweight. And because of that, I can't serve the way that I could if I wasn't so heavy. And I know that I don't look as heavy as, I guess, whatever, as some people might think is too heavy or whatever. But for me, I'm uncomfortable. I do not like the way that I feel in my body, and I haven't for a really long time. So, like, whatever, if you are watching this and you become convicted that maybe you need to lose weight too, then great, join me. If that's not where you're at yet, great, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not here to be your Holy Spirit. I'm just here to talk about my experience and what's important to me. And maybe you're on the same sort of journey that I am, with just wanting to do better because you know better now. And there was a point in a time in my life where I couldn't do better because I didn't know better, but now I know. So now I'm going to do better if I can. And that doesn't mean 100% of the time. Like, that's not realistic, right? It means that what I can do and what I can be productive at, I'm going to try. And sometimes it means I'm going to fail, and that's fine too. It just is a learning experience. So actually on this top shelf here, I already have a bunch of stuff that I've made from scratch that I'm storing up there. So I made pie crust, I made pierogies, I made biscuits, and all of those were freezer friendly. So I'm just going to write that all down real quick. And that's all stuff that, like, if I want to make a pie or a tart or something, well, hey, I already have the convenience item in the freezer, but it wasn't really convenient because I had to spend the time to make it. And the same thing with like biscuits. Biscuits are so simple to make, but like in a pinch on a weeknight, I'm not going to take the time to make biscuits. But if I already have some made and frozen in the freezer, well, I can just grab the serving size that I need out of the freezer. So another great thing about having this stuff this way is that I can just have the serving size ready. And if I don't have, I can't overeat if I only take out, 8 biscuits and there's 4 people in the family. That means we each get 2, and that's all I made. So I cannot overeat. So there's a method to the madness. So you'll see, like, I still have some convenient stuff left in the freezer here. Like, there's corn dogs, and I'm not going to throw them away. And for a while there, like, I took all the convenient stuff out of the house freezer and brought it out to the outside freezer just because it was so tempting to me to just be like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and just throw that in the microwave and we'll have a meal. So I brought it to the outside freezer and then I just forgot about it. That's how simple that was. So, but since I want to get this outside freezer cleaned out, I'm bringing everything back into the house, and we're just going to have a week where we eat the convenience foods and we get them out of the house. I'm not going to throw them away. That's so wasteful. But we're just going to take care of it. We're just going to eat them, and then they'll be done, and I'm not going to buy them again. They're not coming back in the house. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I love you. Bye-bye.